we're in trouble.
I'm in trouble. That's a good thing. How you guys doing?
We we are in
Good, and you?
trouble.
I'm doing great, man. Um, first things first.
Nice.
I want to know, Katie. Can I call you Katie? Let me just check
Kathy.
that. Yeah, is that okay if I call you Katie?
Kathy,
I didn't get that
can
answer.
you hear me? Oh, Kathy.
Kathy.
It's Kathy. Yeah.
Kathy. Okay. Um, what do you know about Cardano governance in general?
Well, I spent 5 days at Canary's place this summer. So, how much do you think Canary can talk about governance in 5 days?
Oh my God.
That's approximately what I know.
In 5 days, you will know it all. If it's generic,
Yeah, well, I don't think I know everything, but I do know quite some things. I know how the governance in Cardano is built, and I know the foundation of it, and I do know how the work groups and committees is shaped and built and the purpose of them. And I do know how the blockchain works. I'm an IT engineer by education, but I work as project manager at this point. So I have a okay overall look on how things work, I think, but I don't know the details of it.
all right?
Wouldn't that sum it up quite okay, Kenrik?
Yeah. You put me in a lot of trouble here, I see. No.
Well, I
I'm
will
just kidding. I'm just
challenge
kidding. Yeah.
I will challenge what she knows.
That's good, good.
Please do.
Anyway, so my whole purpose here is we need more Cardano girls. We need more girls in governance. And this is my prospect. My cold lead. No, I'm just kidding. No, she's I don't know. What Cathy don't know is basically like every ledger states and like everything that's going on ledger. Like that's very technical. In regards to governance, I put her through the high level. I haven't gone through every governance action, for example, thresholds.
Oh,
No,
how
we
dare
haven't.
you?
Yeah, I
We
know.
haven't.
Okay,
And I
so
don't know I don't know really what the Cardano foundation is, because you have a foundation, and I don't know every step of those, but I know that there is a foundation. I know that there is how you have the voting system and that. Yeah. So I don't know every detail,
well, Kathy,
and I'm looking
this
forward.
is what I'm here for.
That's great.
So welcome to the governance workshop. I do this 2 times, well, actually 4 times a week. So I got 2 times with the EU schedule and 2 times with the United States schedule, which is the best one because Americans and we're all better than everybody else. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Canadian.
What part of the world do you reside in?
Yes. So that being said, I can explain to you with this nice little infographic how it works at the ledger level. Because off chain, like people can create, sorry, people can create committees and member based organizations and stuff, but that's all off chain. And I'm mostly interested on what's going on chain, what's going on there, right? And everything that I'm going to show you is layer one. Not many smart contracts involved. So everything I'm going to show you now is within the blockchain. All right. So you may not
Oh,
know
by the way,
that
Mike,
I'm
have you introduced yourself and your background? Have you introduced yourself and your background, Mike?
introduce myself.
Yeah, and your background.
Well, okay. I'm Mike Hornan. I'm an average, everyday, normal, average guy. And that's pretty much it. I love governance, and some people might give me more importance than I should really have. Uh, No, yeah, I'm part of the I was part of the ICC, the original interim construct committee. I'm also a stake pool operator, and I'm not a DRep because for integrity purposes. Um, but I will probably be once I'm done with the CC. And did we get elected, Ken Eric? Is it done or it's not yet quite?
We are missing 0.02%.
Okay. Oh, that would be a funny one if that doesn't happen.
But the
But yeah,
legislate we have passed. Well, that's another story.
so I made a couple of infographic, including the first version of this one that I'm going to show you, and another one that's coming very, very, very soon, which is like visually my best one, and I'm very, very excited to show it to you guys if you have the available space to digest that crazy huge file that it's gonna be. As it stands right now, it's 481 megs for a picture. It's, but you can zoom it like 10,000 times without losing the quality of the image, and it's like a huge map. But I should not go there. Let's not.
With inspiration from Hubble telescope, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, it's a huge map that's going to explain every single thing about the credential manager in a very funny way because it's explained by Sir Mark or Lord Mike Hornen, the French aristocrat character, fictional character. But yeah, I'll probably maybe publish it today or tomorrow, maybe. Because every time I'm catching something that I don't like and I have to fix it, you know how it is, right? But yeah, it's coming. Yeah, so I've been testing governance since day one on SanchoNet, and we found a lot of bugs back then, and I'm also unfortunately the how can I phrase that correctly? Like the bastard who did the Christmas Eve attack on the pre-prod, and which is also the reason why we had to do an emergency update of the node software before deploying hard fork. What else did I do? Well, I'm mostly breaking things for fun, but never on mainnet. I'm not one of these guys. I break stuff on testnet. So on testnet, I'm playing mostly the bad guy, and when I find glitches and bugs and exploits, I report them to my good friend Samuel and then people from IOG, and together we work on fixing things. And yeah, that covers it. I'm doing some workshops as well, 4 times a week, and also yeah, that sums it up. Yeah, so going back on governance. Yeah, so on layer one we have 3 governance bodies. Okay, we have the SPOs, which are what we always have before. They are the validators that produce the blocks, and they are the backbones of the network. So they we rely on them for the security of our blockchain, our distributed ledger. So they produce the blocks on our ecosystems. And we have the delegated representative. These guys hold the entirety of the governance power, so they can vote on every governance actions, all of them. What are the governance actions? They are governance actions that we can put on chain to either change the rules of the ledger, the protocol parameters, or withdraw money from the treasury, which gets money every epochs. 20% of all the reward pot goes to the treasury, and also part of the reserve that gets distributed to everyone. And sometimes we can do governance actions to withdraw money from it directly into our wallet address or smart contract address, or it's a treasury. So that's one of the governance actions we can use to do that. And it's all on the ledger. Yes.
Are you sharing your screen right now? Are you sharing your screen right now?
Oh my God, I'm not sharing it. Oh,
No.
I'm so sorry.
No. No problem. I saw that you were talking about something on your screen, so I was like, okay, I think there's something missing in my picture here.
I am so sorry. There it is.
Lovely. There it is. Thank you.
What an awful teacher. So here you see on the
No,
board.
no problem. No problem. Happens to everyone. Happens to everyone.
Oh, wait. Maybe
Please continue.
let me just adjust that. There you go. And there. Okay. Let's see. Are you guys still there? 1 2 1 2. Oh, shoot. Hello. Hello, 1 2.
Mike.
I'm sorry. I kind of broke something. Let me just share that again. I'm so sorry. Okay, how's that?
That's great. As you can see, document. A long document.
Yes. Okay.
CIP 1694.
Yes, that's the good one. Okay, perfect. All right. So, as I was trying to say before, we have 3 governance bodies. We have the SPOs, which are also producing blocks. We have the delegated representative. So these guys control every, they're one of the governance bodies that has a say on every single governance actions. Because you will see later that some of those governance actions cannot be voted by SPOs, and some of them cannot be voted by the CC, but the DReps can vote on everything. And that's all on
I
chain.
don't see the correct. I don't see the correct image. I think I see a screen with downloads. Back one, Mabel.
Shoot.
Too many complaints. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm the one who's doing it wrong. There you go.
That's the one. Thank you.
Okay. No, we have the
That's the one.
SPOs.
Thank you.
Oh God, come on. Okay. We have the SPOs, the DReps, and the CC. And of course, we have the ADA holders, which are everybody else. But they have no say on governance other than delegating to a DRep. But they can be a DRep themselves if they want to participate. And that's called direct voter. So the difference between a direct voter and a DRep is simply a person that represents themselves or themselves. And they are a DRep, but they don't provide metadata to identify themselves. So it's like a private DRep. And they decided to call it direct voter, which is fine with me, but it's nothing else than a DRep with no metadata. On-chain. That's how the ledger sees it. Okay, and we have the Constitutional Committee, which role are to only assess the constitutionality of the governance action according to the on-chain constitution, because we do have a constitution with some rules in it and guardrails for protocol parameter values, and we have some strict rules to make sure that nobody attempts to break the chain. So for example, if you do a governance action that is attempting to change a protocol parameter with a value within it that doesn't make any sense or that could possibly endanger the chain, or that goes against the rule stated in the Constitution, then the Constitutional Committee is going to vote against it, even if the DReps accept the governance action. So in order to pass, every single governance action needs at least 2 governance bodies threshold to be crossed or met in order to pass. And when it happens, it automatically passes on chain. There's no entity or person who press a huge red button to activate it. It just happened. So going back to that, we have 3 governance bodies: the SPOs, the DReps, and the CC. And if we go down, you can see that, well, pretty much what I explained. So if you want to be a DRep, you need to register as such and pay 500 ADA as a deposit on chain to be a DRep. And of course, the Constitutional Committee, there's a completely different rules according to that. It involves cold and hot credentials that I'm not going to get too much into, but I have a whole presentation about it. If you're willing to see it, it's on YouTube. So just type my name, Mike Horton, and you will see a channel there. And my presentation that I did on Rerevo about the Constitutional Committee is there. This is one that Kenrick attended. What else? Yeah, well, SPOs, they operate the chain, and the ADA holders, they just hold ADA, and they participated through the staking mechanism by staking to SPOs to get reward, but they also delegate the amount of money they have in their wallet to DReps as voting power. So if there's somebody that you like that has nice values that you believe is going to protect the chain against bad actors, or that is going to modify the chain according to your personal value of what you would see or what you see Cardano being in the future, you can delegate to those to those DRep, and they will get your voting power to vote in the governance system. So they will be more powerful. And of course, you can delegate to auto abstain. Yeah, I should change that. That's not a DRep anymore. The semantic changed. So you can delegate to auto abstain voting option or no confidence voting option. So they are automated voting option. So this is not a person. If you don't want to participate, but you still want your stake to be out of the system, not counted towards the calculation for governance actions, you can delegate your wallet to auto abstain voting option. Or you can delegate to no confidence voting option. So no confidence would be kind of the automated no. So you will vote no on every single governance actions except one, that is the motion of no confidence. So you will vote automatically yes on getting rid of the Constitutional Committee. So it's like I'd like to see it as the you don't like governance voting option. So if there's no governance, I'm gonna get the worst scenario here. So let's say there's no governance. There's a motion of no confidence that passed because everyone went to automated no confidence, and somebody somewhere submitted a no confidence governance action, which you will automatically vote yes on if you're delegated to that. Then there's no more committee, and the governance state is on no confidence. So there's no way to withdraw money from the treasury anymore. There's no way to change any protocol parameters anymore. There's no way to do any hard forks anymore. So does it stall the chain? No. The chain keeps moving on, and you can still do transactions and everything, but it's like a disable button for the governance. So you like the chain as it is, and you don't ever want it to change. then you would delegate to that. Now the governance actions. We have a total number of, it shows 6. Yeah, okay, 7. Yeah, we have 7 governance actions total. So again, who can make or build those governance actions? Everyone can. You don't need to be a DRep. Any ADA holder can submit on-chain governance actions in order to do specific things depending on the governance action that's been used. So I'm going to name them, and also I will tell you who can vote on it. First is the motion of no confidence. I don't know why it's first, but anyway. So the motion of no confidence is, for example, if you believe that some of the elected, so I'm going to go with Tingard. Tingard, which Canada is
Thank you, thank you.
They voted on something that you believe was constitutional in your personal ADA holder opinion. Now, this was constitutional. They shouldn't have voted against it, and you believe they did something against the Constitution, which is their role, right? I mean, they have to vote according only to the Constitution. It's not opinion based. The Control Committee job. So they did something wrong, and you want them out. You want them all out. So it wouldn't be not necessarily only Tingard who did something bad, like Mike from the Cardano Atlantic Council. He's unreliable. He did on mainnet what he's doing all the time on CentralNet. Oh my God, we need to get rid of them all. This is bad. Then you would cast on-chain motion of no confidence. So you would provide the deposit of 100,000 ADA. It's a deposit. So when the governance action either expire or is ratified, you will get that money back into your wallet. And if it passes, it effectively on-chain remove the entirety of the control committee. And the governance state of the system will fall into a no confidence state. What this means is that the only governance action that you will be able to pass, not to cast, to pass on-chain, will be the governance action that's made to re-elect a new committee. So unless this is done on a no confidence state, you cannot do anything else related to governance. You cannot withdraw treasury money, you cannot change protocol parameters, you can't do anything else. Then elect a new committee. Or actually, you can do polls. Yes, question?
But to pass a motion of no confidence, that requires that you have ADA to put in.
I didn't hear the beginning. I don't know if that's because your microphone
If you have the situation that if I have a situation that I wanted to pass a motion of no confidence, that means I have to have Cardano to put in that motion of no confidence.
Yes.
100 Cardano. Okay. So if you don't have that, 100,000 Cardano. And if you don't have that, you cannot pass a motion of no confidence.
You cannot submit a motion of no confidence on chain. Anybody could. You could crowdfund it. You can have a group of people, or if somebody somewhere does it, then you can, as a DRep and an SPO, vote on it and attempt to make it pass.
Okay. I see. Why is it put up like this? Is it to protect the chain?
Yes, the deposit is meant to protect the chain against spamming, which is something we did on CentralNet, because how many we did? We submitted 8,100 governance actions on testnet to prove that we needed a higher deposit. Because there's no way the control committee, or in this scenario, there's no way SPOs and DReps could ever assess or take the time to read 8,000 governance actions within the governance action lifetime before it expires. So it's a month. within a month of
Wow.
time, if you can verify 8,100 governance actions on chain, then I would be greatly greatly impressed. If you don't do this full time, but even full time, this is insane. So this is why
A
you
DDoS attack.
What's that?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, is to prevent DDoS attack of the governance.
Right, but I don't know. Is it DDoS or more like Sybil? I'd like to see it as like some form of Sybil attack, because it on chain it has no repercussion. Like the chain can take much more than 8,000, and it doesn't necessarily affect the
It doesn't break the chain, but it breaks the governance. So yeah, I can agree. It's not a DDoS, denial of attack. Yes, but let's say in between those 8,000, there was one very important one. You basically succeed your purpose.
Yeah.
So this is actually to have the purpose of this is to make sure that if you have to make not to let me rethink that sentence. The purpose of having that cost is to be sure that a right amount of people have emotional no confidence. When you first are going to suggest a motion of no confidence, it should be a lot of people to do it.
Oh, not necessarily. No, the main goal of the main goal of the deposit for every governance action is to make sure that we have a nice flow of governance action on chain, so that we have enough for the CC and everyone to vote on it, but also to read the rationale and socialize it, but also, to make sure that there's not too many, but also to make sure that there's not too few, right? So if we don't have enough governance actions or people proposing things, we could attempt to lower that value, because it's a protocol parameter. You can change that deposit value if you want to, because it's part of our blockchain. So if you want to change the amount of money required to do a deposit, you can propose a protocol parameter change in order to lower it if you want to. But yeah, it's just a mean to make sure that there's not too many governance actions on chain at once, but also not too few. So we need to find, if 100,000 is not the right level or the right deposit, we would need to try to find the right amount to make sure that we have reasonable amount of governance actions on chain for people to assess, because it's a social metric mostly. The ledger doesn't necessarily, the ledger is not going to break if we spam it with governance actions, unless the value is very, very low. But I'm assuming that even 1,000 ADA, the deposit, the ledger wouldn't necessarily break if we spam. But on the social side, it's literally impossible to assess the constitutionality of all those governance actions.
And to just put in there, like, for a practical thing, so there is decentralized finance, or DeFi, available on Cardano today. You can pay 500 ADA, and someone will lend you the 100,000, and you can do your governance action as vote of no confidence. Or maybe you want to do mention governance info action. Maybe you have this fantastic, great idea. It only needs $10 million. You can provide that thing, and you want to have word out there that Kathy knows how to fix this thing on Cardano. It's a major issue. Yada yada yada.
Yep.
And you, after socializing, as Mike said, where you debate and answer questions from the communities, you can put, and they will say, yeah, that's a good suggestion. This is what we call a budget info action.
Yep.
And in regards to voting, DReps, they vote on this. You get like a sediment, and they also write a rationale. I think Mike maybe going to show you ADA stat later on, and you're going to see like how this actually is turning out live. And then staple operators, if there is something, in regards to security, they might want to come up with some comments or questions. And if everything yada yada perfect fine, then you can go further and do a treasury withdrawal. And there are some things that you need to provide information in regards to a treasury withdrawal, but let's just fast forward it, and then automatically, as long as the Cardano Constitution members agree to it, that it is constitutional to spend $10 million on whatever Cathy is providing, automatically on chain, it reached what we call an enactment at the epoch's end. So we have epochs in Cardano, it's approximately 5 days. And then the epoch after enactment, it says Katinga in a wallet on chain according to the constitution. And the funds are there for you to use.
Yes.
That is, I would say, like in the blockchain. So, like in this industry, this has never happened before. Never. Like if you on Ethereum Foundation, if you want some money from them, you have to lick someone's ass to get the funding. If you want to do this on Solana, you probably need to live in San Francisco and kick down the doors at the Solana Foundation. There is nobody that's done this.
Well,
That's comprehensive.
you still need to lick somebody's ass, but it would be the DReps. Right, because they represent everyone. But yeah, I mean, like there's still some ass licking to do, but it's decentralized ass licking.
You don't know which
this,
ass you are licking.
this is actually very nice for many of us girls. We like decentralized ass licking much more than the last version. Last version was not for us. Decentralized ass licking is much better.
Yeah,
New
that's
concept.
gonna have to be a new topic there.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I like that.
decentralized.
That kind of governance is just so much more. I mean, that's so much more feminine, female friendly.
Okay. Anyway, if you look at the screen here, Mike has some cool stuff actually.
Yes. So
I'm
this
actually
is
in
here.
this site, but I can't find the same graphs as you do. So, governance
Oh,
action. Where do I
yeah,
do that?
it's on ADA's tab. I'm going to share with you
I have
the.
that open.
He is sharing his screen now.
Yeah, I know I have it, but I have it on the side as well.
Yeah, if
Okay,
you look
cool.
at the chat, if you look at the chat of this channel, there's a little chat bubble. I've shared the link in the chat, so you can just click on it, and it will get you straight.
All the way up to the left, you will see a bubble there with the number 1 in, next to live.
Yeah, well.
Yep.
I opened this yesterday. I've already been prying in this site.
Okay.
I'm too curious, so I've already been in there and
So
prying.
this is a governance action example. So this is a constitutional an update, not an update, a new constitution governance action. So this person, Utah, I think he's the one who proposed it. He's attempting to
now, Mike.
the constitution. Yes.
And now, Mike, 12 minutes ago, we are Cardano Constitution members again.
Oh. All right. Cool. I mean,
congratulations.
It's new for you, but for me, it's no. Wait, you were in Intersec as well, right? You were in the interim, were you?
No, I haven't. Only on the thing word. I was standing on the sideline only.
Yeah. So, but for us, we did it as a necessity, but we will step down after a year. Because it's a huge burden. Not gonna lie. You'll see it very soon. It's not an easy task to be the CC. It's really not an easy task, and then we did it out of necessity because there was not enough knowledgeable people to properly, manage their credentials. So there's us and you guys. The ones who got elected are great, but I'm definitively going to work forward to make sure that we get more knowledgeable people and that would properly manage their credentials in order to do a fine job as a CC member. So after 1 year, we're stepping out. Stepping down. How do you say that? We'll leave.
Stepping down.
We'll leave the CC.
Leaving.
Yeah, and maybe I'll be a DRep. Who knows? Maybe I might give it a try. We'll see. Okay, so this here is a governance action in order to change the constitution. So somebody, Utah, provided the 100,000 ADA on chain, and he submitted it as governance action on chain. Now it's on chain. It has to be voted. So if you look here, you will see new constitutional. Oh, that's the committee here. That's the governance section that he did. The third one, update the constitution, but it's not updated, it's new constitution, but that doesn't matter. So it can be voted by CC and DReps only. So the stake pool operators cannot vote on this one. So as you can see, if you go back to the, where is it? There. If you go back to the page, you will see that the SPOs here cannot vote on it. So it's only the CC and the DReps who can vote on it.
DReps. So I cannot vote on this one. I can see it, but I cannot vote on it.
Unless you're a DRep, no, you cannot. But if you know a
okay,
DRep,
but I can see it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely, you can see it. Of course, you
so
can
it's
see
transparent. That's nice.
Oh, yeah. It's the governance action is always layer 1, so it's on the public ledger. Everybody that has a node, everybody that has access to Cardano blockchain can see it transparently. Yeah. So
only the DReps can vote on this. One.
DReps and the Constitutional Committee. So just to make sure, the Constitutional Committee can vote on everything. They can vote on everything, but the two only governance action that's meant to remove them or add them to the Constitutional Committee. So as a Constitutional Committee member, I cannot assess the constitutionality of the governance action that's meant to put me in place. It just doesn't make any sense.
No,
this would leave room to corruption. So of course not. So the motion of no confidence, we cannot vote on it as a CC, and the new the update committee governance action, the one that's meant to elect a constitutional committee, we cannot vote on it either. It's only DReps and SPOs. So you have to consider that every single governance action that you propose, other than these two, has to follow the constitution of Cardano. Because if you don't, or if there's something that goes against it, the constitutional committee is going to vote against your governance action and it will not pass. Because in order for any governance actions to pass, it needs to cross the threshold of at least 2 governance body that's involved. So in the example that we have here with this governance action, for that constitution to pass and to be implemented on chain, you would need the DReps threshold to be crossed and also the Constitutional Committee. So here you have the DReps threshold, and there's 26.8% who voted yes, and the threshold for that is 75%. So if you want to change the constitution, you need 75% of all active delegated representatives to vote yes on it. And as it is right now, we're very far from it. Yes.
But on the top right, you can see votes info. What does it mean when 107 has voted yes and 33 has voted no? On the top right. Votes info. No, top left. No, top right.
Here?
one up.
Oh, vote info.
Yeah, vote
Okay.
info.
Oh, this
You can
is
see that 107 has voted yes, and
Yeah.
33 has voted no.
this is the amount
And what?
of this is the amount of DReps. So
Oh.
because as a DRep you have voting power
Mm.
because people delegate their wallet to you. They delegate your voting power.
So
I, for instance, could have more power than 10 other DReps, right? Because I have more ADA delegated to me.
even though, okay, so even though only 33 DReps voted no, they have more
Yes.
voting power than the 107 that voted yes.
Not necessarily. It's hard to quantify, but you can check here in the list that's below all the DReps who voted. For example, we have the last one, Kevin. He voted no, and his voting power is 36.16k ADA. So there's 36,000 ADA voting power that went to the no side for this DRep.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, the Eternal wallet voted no as well. And the Eternal wallet has 241 million voting power. So it's like, it's a good couple of Kevin in terms of voting power.
I can see. Yeah, I can see. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty terrible example, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
The matrix that you should check here is the amount of voting power that went to the yes side and the amount that went to the no side. So this here should probably be the one that you look at. So we have 26.
Yeah, and sorry, Mike.
Oh, okay. I was going to say you have 26.84% of the total active voting stakes on the DREP side that went to the yes side. But in order for it to pass, you need 75% of the active voting stakes.
Yeah.
And at
So
the
I can also see that. Sorry.
Yeah, you see the no votes here. That's the active no vote. The DReps who actively voted no. And the no confidence is the, for example, every ADA holders who delegated to the automated no confidence voting option. So that's also a no vote. And the not voted here is the active DReps who didn't do anything. So
that's
if you don't
quite high sum.
Yes. So we have an amount of 8.15 billion ADA delegated to DReps who did not vote on this governance action. And by default, they are seen by the system as a passive no.
That's very important. Passive no.
Yes. Do you know why? Yeah. Some people might argue that they should be abstained instead. They shouldn't be calculated. But if you don't calculate them and you submit a governance action, for example, and nobody votes on it before the end of the epoch, and you have a single DREP that has one ADA voting power, then that single DREP could make it pass by himself. If the people who didn't vote were seen as abstained by the system. And this is a pretty tricky one, which could lead to my other infographic, but I'm not going to explain it today. But
this leads me to another question, because I have, as you can see, there's a lot of people who has not voted, and that means that you have a lot of DReps that's not active or not engaged in this work.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Do we have any statistics for how many DReps is actually active, or how many that's actively not voting?
There must be some
explorer because I see this as, in my head, I'm trying to see this as an enhancement of politics.
Oh no,
it's a better version of demographics.
There's something I didn't explain that I should probably explain to you right now. Here you have another infographic that I did, and if you go at the very bottom of it, you will see one of the protocol parameter that we have is called DRep activity. So right now on chain it's set to 20, is it? I don't have it by heart. Let me check that real quick.
I don't remember, but I think you are right.
It's probably 20. Anyway, on chain we have a protocol parameter that's called DRep activity. So if your DRep doesn't do anything for an X amount of time, that is the value of the
Yes, it is 20. It is 20 epoch.
20, awesome.
I can confirm.
So if a DRep, for example, do nothing and is a passive no for too long, then automatically the system will consider that DRep inactive, and the entirety of the voting power delegated to that DRep will be now seen as abstain instead of a passive no. Okay, so this is
So that means that that means that the it will not be calculated in the voting power, yes or no. It will be like those guys. Never mind those guys. They have, for some particular reason, either they are inactive or they don't have chosen to abstain. Then
it's a self-healing system. So if you're
That's
inactive,
very good.
if you're inactive for too long, the system won't calculate your passive no anymore amongst the total amount of active voting stake. So you will be out of the system.
That is so good, because what you have created is a self-healing system. The only thing I'm wondering about is, how do we, instead of self-healing, having a self-healing system is good, but in the next level, next step, how do we encourage the DReps to be active, to be engaged, to be interested in doing this work, because it's important work. And if you don't have the active engagement from the DReps, they will just fade away. And that's not how to build a good democracy. And I see this as an opportunity to build the next level democracy. In Norway, we have a great democracy, but even here it has its flaws, because the power is not given to the people, it's given to representation of the people. But in this case, you have the representations are fading away. And how do we heal that?
There's two ways to heal that, and it's already implemented. So, first of all, the ledger doesn't care about our opinion, okay? Because it's just,
thank God,
it only cares about what it sees on chain. So if, for example, your DRep is inactive, people can delegate their voting power to anybody at any time, and it only costs 0.17 ADA to do so. So if your DRep is inactive, people seeing that can always move their stake to another DRep that is active. So the power of that expired DRep or inactive DRep will just normally flow somewhere else. If it doesn't, then that's of course sticky stake, and that DRep will be inactive, and it will be inactive unless that DReps votes again. Because it would be unfair in a way that, for example, if I don't know, I have a car accident, and for 20 epochs I don't know, I'm literally like filled with bandages, like in those funny movies that you guys see sometimes, like when the guy is like can't do anything. So you can't tell the community, you can't, you're just stuck in there in an emergency bed, something. Let's put that scenario there. And eventually my DRep expire, but when I finally heal, then I want to get back on track. So if the DRep that is inactive vote again, it automatically reactivate that DRep for the DRep activity amount of time, which is calculated in epoch. So in this little infographic that you see here, you have a DRep at the left that is expired. He expired on epoch 281, and now there's at the bottom you see the epoch 285, 286, and this guy decides to vote again here on epoch 287. So it reactivate that DRep instantly, and the calculation for his new expiry would be the epoch number plus the value of the protocol parameter DRep activity, which is 20. And then it will give the new expiry. So if that DRep again stops voting on everything and is inactive for 20 epochs, he will be seen as inactive again by the system. So every time you vote, you reset the counter. You push back every time you vote.
Yeah. And I can. So this governance model is not perfect yet, and I might also add that currently, like in the civics committee, we are working on DRep compensation. So
yes,
basically, pay the DReps for their job. So we haven't figured out, let's say, the exact way how to do it. We're going to play around with something called Cardano Improvement Proposal 149, where ADA holders can voluntarily donate to the DReps. Yeah, but I hope one day, eventually, that on chain there will be a DRep compensation in a similar way that stake pool operators, they get paid also for, running the stake pool and maintaining the security. And yeah, so yeah, that's my 50.
Thank you.
Lovelace.
Yeah, so
It's
the
very
Constitution,
interesting.
it's also mentioned in the Constitution that DReps and then the CC can or may or are expected, I don't remember the exact phrasing, but to ask for compensation directly from the treasury. So it would be up to the DReps to decide. Also, maybe, I'm guessing. I don't know exactly how we will implement this, but in the Constitution state that they can do it, right? So as a CC member, I could see it as constitutional if you have for example, a budget that's made for DReps and it follows the Constitution. Then as a CC member, I would be like, yeah, okay, go ahead. You can move forward. There's nothing endangering the chain and it follows the Constitution. Good. My vote is yes. And then the DReps would vote on it as well. And if that budget pass, then the next step would be the actual treasury withdrawal governance action. And again, this is a governance action that you put on chain, and within the governance action, you have to specify the reward address of the wallet that would be the recipient of the money. So if this pass on chain, the money goes directly from the treasury to the wallet address that has been mentioned in the governance action. It's automated. So if you have a wallet, you do that governance action and it passes, the money go automatically from the treasury straight to your wallet for you to use.
So you're working for the community, and your employee is a parameter. It's a ledger.
Yeah, it's legally hard to explain, especially to my accountant, but he's gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go do some more parameters. I think since Kathy haven't fallen asleep yet, she's still with us.
Yes, so yeah, we need to get back on track. So the governance actions, you have motion of no confidence that I explained. You have new constitutional committee, which is another one that's meant to add, remove, or change the threshold of the constitutional committee members. Okay, so if, for example, Tingard and Kennerig did something bad, and you really hate this consortium that represent one voice as a CC member, but you don't want to get rid of the other ones. So the Cardano Atlantic Council, they've been doing an awesome job. Mike is there for the community, and then they assess the constitutionality of the governance action way much better than everybody else, including Tingard, which are corrupted because they're bad and they're and you just want to get rid of them. Only these ones. You can do an update committee governance section and only remove their credential from the governance state of the ledger. You can do that, and it won't make the governance state fall into a no confidence state. So you can handpick the ones you don't like and remove them and replace them with somebody else within the same governance sections, or change their voting threshold. That is done through this governance action. Then the third one is the update to the constitution. But it says update, but it's new constitution, because if you wanted to, you can replace the entire file. The constitution is a file that lives off chain. It doesn't live on the ledger, but the hash of that file lives on chain. So you cannot change anything from that constitution, because otherwise it will generate a different hash and it will match the one that's on chain. But the constitution as it is right now lives on an IPFS link, so it's immutable. It's there forever. If you want to change it, you can. In order to do that, you can do a governance action to change the constitution. You submit your new constitution file, the link and its hash, but also you have to specify the guardrail script, which I'm not going to get too much into because it's tricky. It's very tricky. So I'll just sum it up by saying that
for the record, Kathy, when Mike says hash, it is a hash with an H in front. It's like SHA-256 hash or MD5 hash. So the fingerprint.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so in terms of, it's like a checksum function, right? I like to call it like that. Like when you want to check the integrity of a file, you hash it into a little hash. And if anything changed into that file and you rehash it again, then it won't give you the same hash. So this is a way to validate the integrity of the file. Since the constitution lives off chain, we need a hash on chain to verify its integrity, to make sure that nobody changed the file. So if somebody add just a dot or anything, it will generate a different hash. So it's just a way to make sure that nobody changed some rules without everyone's approval on the constitution itself. The guardrail script, it's a script that you are forced to run on chain if you want to change the protocol parameter, or if you want to do a treasury withdrawal. And within that script, there are guardrails. So there are minimum and maximum values for all protocol parameters. So if you want to change one, the value has to be between the maximum and the minimum, or else you will not be able to submit it on chain. It will stop you right as soon as you try to submit it. The reason why we have that is obviously to protect the chain against like values that doesn't make any sense. So for example, if I want to reduce the maximum block size to 0, then it will break the chain, and of course we need a guardrail to that for that. But that's a very awful example because the ledger would stop you from doing that as well, not only the guardrail script, but that's just the best example I can give right now. So we have values, and that guardrail script can also be changed in the constitution. So I thought it was important to mention it, because if you do a governance action on chain and you want to change the rules of the constitution, but you don't touch to the appendix 1 and the guardrail script, then you can just simply change the text. But if you want to change some of the values of the appendix 1 and the guardrail script, you would need to provide the new script, because you are the one submitting the new governance action. So you would have to provide, of course, the new hash and also the script that you intend to be the new guardrail script. I won't go into
it is like the blockchain have like knobs, on you can tune them, and when you put on the setting, there is no reset button, so you have to provide the settings that you want, and if you want to change it again, you have to provide a new settings.
Yep.
And and when it comes to governance, there is also many people who, let's say, cannot like comprehend the difference between what is, as Mike say, off-chain. The Cardano constitution, it contains a lot of text, yada yada yada. The ledger doesn't understand the text, but it do understand the script that is programmed into the chain, and that is tweakable. Which brings us to the next one, that is hard fork, because there are some parameters that the knobs is not there to change for the protocol parameters change. There are maybe some stuff that we need to literally change the ledgers,
Yeah.
how it behaves.
So hard forks, everything that cannot be changed through a protocol parameter value, for example. The example that we gave during the Rare Evo event was if somebody wants to change the maximum supply. Right now that is set to 45 billion. This is a protocol parameter, but it is a non-updatable. It is not updatable. It's a non-updatable protocol parameter. If you would like to change it, you would first need to change the node software itself, convince all block producers or all SPOs who produce blocks on the blockchain to use this software as their node, and then you would be able to trigger a hard fork only by submitting a hard fork initiation governance action. So now with Voltaire, the only way to trigger a hard fork on chain is to do that governance action, and it needs to be voted by the CC, the DReps, and the SPOs. So you need 3 governance body thresholds to be crossed to trigger a hard fork and make the change to the ledger rules available for everyone. This is one of the hardest to pass. But when everyone is together in this, we can make it. And we did with the plumbing hard fork, right? Yeah, so that's for the hard fork. Is that okay so far? Yeah. Now the next one is protocol parameter change. So we have a lot of protocol parameters that can be changed on chain. So you can change those values, and it could be any protocol parameter. The minimum fee per byte, it could be the governance action deposit. You want to change the DRep activity amount of time. So you want it longer, you want the governance actions to last longer on chain. Right now, the governance action stays on chain for a month. You want it to stay on chain for 2 months. It's a protocol parameter. You can change the value of governance action lifetime. Okay. What else? The thresholds. Every single thresholds of every single governance bodies for every single governance actions is a percent. It's a percent value. You can change that percent value. You can lower it, you can raise it, but again, it has to follow the Constitution.
And just two things. So you can change the value with the protocol parameter, but if you want to change how it's calculated, you need to do a hard fork. And I noticed also one more thing, and that is Mike mentioned Voltaire. So this is something that you don't know. Cardano has, let's say, been through different evolutions as a blockchain, like stages. And that's started with Byron, and then you had Shelley area, and then you have Gauguin, Basho, and now you have Voltaire. And within each of those different area, there were like a very narrowed focus on, let's say, the development of the blockchain. So Byron, well, basically at that time they just want everything to work. It wasn't decentralized, and the founding entities run all the nodes, but then they transitioned into the Shelley era, anyone who had a computer, they were allowed to be a stake cooperator. And they decentralized the whole blockchain, and they figured out, oh, how is this going on? You know, how is stuff moving on? And then we have Gauguin. So Charles Hoskinson, he came from the Ethereum, and one of the big brands for Ethereum are smart contracts. So we want to have smart contracts. So then they narrow all the focus on developing smart contracts. And then you have Basho. I wouldn't say that we are particularly finished with that part yet, but that's where they take the scaling, the speed of blockchain, how many transactions and stuff like that. We're gonna work some more on that in for the future, but and then we have Voltaire, which is governance and control. Yeah, so I just want to fill in that gap, Kathy.
Nice. So yeah, now we're at Voltaire, and this is my favorite one because it's related to governance. Yay! So yeah, going back to that protocol parameter change, if you want to change something directly on the ledger, that's updatable. You don't necessarily need to change the software and go through a hard fork. That's only for protocol parameters and stuff that cannot be changed through protocol parameter change. But all the major rules, if I can say it like that, they're managed through protocol parameter change. And like I said, there's a lot. You can change the treasury cut. You can change the monetary expansion. So how much money goes from the reserve to the available supply, going through the block producers and the pot that they get after on every epoch, right? So you can change all that if you want to. And we
That's
already
the
have
tau parameter.
Yep, somebody attempted to reduce the treasury cut protocol parameter value, so that the amount of money that's taken from the pot, from the reward pot every epoch's end would be lower. So the amount of money going to the treasury every epoch, and it didn't pass. DReps, a lot of DReps were against it, and some CC members stated it as unconstitutional. We personally, the Cardano Atlantic, voted yes on it. It was constitutional, but we had some disagreements within the CC. It happens sometimes. It's just the way socialization happens. We do not agree on everything. This is politics. But according to that, the CC, we had disagreement on our interpretation of the Constitution related to that. Constitution that is way not perfect, but it's a fine tool that we can use to work. Hopefully we're gonna get a better one. Not the one that's on chain right now, that's my personal opinion, but a better one eventually. Okay, that being said, now we are at the treasury withdrawal governance action. This is hand down, just a governance section that you do, and you mention 1 or 400 different wallets that's going to act as the recipient for the money directly from the treasury. And if this one pass, if the DReps vote for it and the CC, the money goes directly to the wallet that has been mentioned within the governance section. And anybody can do that. If I, for instance, Snake did, right, recently. They just submitted the treasury withdrawal for 5 millions directly to their personal wallet. And the CC voted it as unconstitutional because the Constitution clearly states that before doing a treasury withdrawal, you need to do a budget info action. And you need to budget that treasury withdrawal that you will do hereafter.
And as a side note here, Kathy, they actually did 2 treasury withdrawal attempts. One for 5 ADA. They did a typo, to put it like that, simply. And remember now, they have to put deposit, for 100,000 ADA. at this, almost 1 million Norwegian kroner. And then they had to do it again. And then they got numbers correct. But unfortunately, they haven't been doing the homework, reading the Constitution before asking for money. So then they put another 100K out there, aka a million Norwegian kroner. And what is unfortunate here is that when you, as long as your governance action is active and is on chain, you do not get staking rewards from those ADA, to put, what can I say, insult to the pain. Or pain to the insult. I don't know, like which one is better.
Adding pain to the injury. I think that's...
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
That's what I call ADHD taxes.
You lose... Well, it's again, it's related to the governance action lifetime, because that deposit stays there for as long as the governance action live if people vote against it. Because that's the thing.
I actually saw this one on X, I think, because it was SNEC that tried to do an unconstitutional treasury withdrawal. Yeah, I saw there was a big discussion about this on X.
That's the biggest difference between DReps and the CC. If you're a DRep, you vote according to your personal opinion. You could be for that withdrawal.
Yeah.
SNEC are well known. They're knowledgeable people. They have a great project. It's a meme coin, and they managed to get listed at many places. They're a valid... I mean, as a DRep, I could vote yes on it. But the CC has only one job. Our only job is to assess the constitutionality of that governance action related to the Constitution. And the Constitution says you should do a budget first. And they haven't done that. So automatically, for all of us, it was unconstitutional. So that this is the major difference. Like, the DReps by themselves cannot make a treasury withdrawal pass unless they also have the CC. So this is like... I like to see it as 2 layers of protections. Every single governance action has at least 2 layers of protection. That's meant to protect us all from having it pass if that's a bad one. Because as a DRep, if, for example, I would be like Binance and I would delegate the entirety of the ADA that I control to one single DRep, I would hold a huge amount of voting power. So this didn't happen, obviously, but it's in order to make sure that nothing endangers the chain. So that's why the need of a CC is present at the ledger level. We need people that's going to assess only the constitutionality of those governance actions, make sure that it doesn't put anybody in danger, or that is outside of the possibility of corruption.
And this is one part that, let's say, as a constitution member, that is very hard, because, so for example, I think my most popular X tweet for 2025 is actually me congratulating SNEC community with making the very first unconstitutional governance action, And some people, I totally agree. This is absolutely wrong. They might say, that, hey, don't give the SNEC community 5 million ADA, and then you have the other side, that, oh, why can't they have 5 million? They're doing so good, yada yada yada. And then you have, all this, let's say, blame because it's not passing, but hey, CC members, why don't you just let this one pass? It was an error. The intention was good. Look, the community is behind it. DReps are voting for it. Everybody is happy for it. But why you have to be this douchebag? That actually dump on our bags. They are investors in the SNEC, so they're very passionate about. They are very out loud, and not everybody is, let's say, polite. Nice.
That's the thing. That's like, I like to see the positive side of everything, and they can make it pass. They just have to follow the rules and the steps that's required. Do that, and the CC will make it pass. Well, on the CC side, You follow the rules, you follow the constitution, it's going to pass. Obviously, yeah.
That's the difference between governance and anarchy. You follow the rules, get things done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have total anarchy over the system, and then blockchain will collapse.
The beauty about a blockchain is that every single thing that's implemented in that governance system is meant, allows us all to change it. Every single thing. If the rules of the Constitution, if you don't like the rules of the Constitution, you can change it. If you don't like the way the CC assess a governance action according to the Constitution, you can replace them. If you don't like your DRep, you can move away your state to another DRep that's going to vote according to your personal opinions. If you don't like a protocol parameter value, you can change it. If you want somebody to get money through the treasury withdrawal, you can vote for it. And that's it. That's just it. Every single thing on that blockchain, you can change it. We have the power to change it. It is not meant to be easy, but it has been built for us all to be able to change it as a normal ADA holder. Yeah. Do you want to add something?
And then we have the last one.
Yes, the info action.
That was an action? Oh, cool.
Yeah, the
Oh,
info
it's just
action,
information on the sideline.
Yes, it could be. This one has no rules because it cannot be ratified. That governance action, for that governance action, on chain, because the ledger doesn't care about our opinion, and the ledger doesn't care either about the constitution text. The ledger doesn't care. So at the ledger level, an info action cannot be ratified. So when you submit an info action, it will stay on chain for the entirety of its lifetime. It will not pass or be ratified. What people call ratification of an info action is clearly off chain. This is rules that has been done socially, so we consider it to be passed after this much threshold. And some of those rules are stated in the Constitution, but they are social rules because at the ledger level, all the three governance bodies threshold is set to 100%. So you cannot ratify an info action. The reason why this exists is because if somebody has a poll, you want to know the DReps, the CC, and the SPO's opinion on do you like pineapple on pizza? You can do that. Well, it's a pretty awful example, but I like this example because it's a non-binding one. If you submit an info action and within your rationale you ask the question, do you like pineapple on pizza? The DReps can vote yes and no. The SPOs can vote yes and no. And the CC don't have to vote on it because it's a non-binding one. It doesn't relate to something that is about to change on the ledger. It doesn't imply something that's related to treasury withdrawal, for example. It's not a budget info action. We can vote abstain on it if we want, or we can just skip it if we wanted to. So the Constitution allows us, the CC, to not vote on the non-binding question about pineapple on pizza.
And the beauty of this, Mike, is that, for example, pineapple on pizza. DReps, they will write a rationale for and try to convince you, Mike, why you should have pineapples there. I don't know if they can find a weak spot on you on that debate, but anyway, that is the beauty of the governance, I think, and that's why I think the governance info action is. I will rank it very high as one of the most important when it comes to liquid democracy. And it's maybe not about pizza, but it measures the sentiment of the community on chain. So, I can come from Norway. We have democracy like this. You can have one guy from Russia. He is used to a federal republic. You can have one guy from North Korea voting, and he only knows about communism, and then you can mix all this together, and you are using liquid democracy from the people that has the most at stake on the chain, and you can actually make harmony out of it.
You can ask any questions. That's the beauty of it, and you will get the real numbers from the community and the DReps and the SPOs because it's decentralized, it's recorded on chain. So you literally have the actual real opinions of DReps, SPOs, and CC because when they vote, they can also include rationale with their vote. So they can not only vote yes, no, or abstain on your governance action or your question, they can also include a file within their vote that is seen on chain about why do they like pineapple on pizza? Why do they believe that? Let's say I want to move forward with a project, and I say, well, I had this idea, and I want to know the community opinion on it. Should I move forward with this project? I want to build something like this. Would you support a project like this if I was doing that? And then you get the votes, but you also get rationale from their vote. Oh, I would support it, but probably you should do this and this and that, or I would replace this, or this is not a great idea. For both sides, for the no votes and the yes votes, you can get an opinion from the people. And this is why it's mostly related to polls that people can do, but it's also related to the budget info action that you have to do before a withdrawal. So you would need to mention who is going to be your administrator and some rules that's stated in the Constitution that you have to go through as to submit a budget before doing a treasury withdrawal. Catalyst had to do that, right? Recently, within all the governance actions, we had to do the 39 ones. Catalyst had to justify why they want money from the treasury for the Catalyst project. Okay, so they had to state an administrator, dispute resolution, lots of rules that's stated in the Constitution in order to have the CC vote yes on it. Otherwise, it won't pass. So that's what the info action is for. And a little lower here, we see it's like a timeline for governance. So first here you have an ADA holder who builds and submit a governance action, one of the 7 that I showed you, to the ledger. And then you have the DReps, the CC, and the SPOs who vote on it. And then the votes are signed and submitted. And you can see it attached to your governance action. For all the tools that we have, the explorers, to calculate the amount of voting power on the yes side, on the no side, and on the abstain side. Now we have an example here. Oh yeah, okay, that's it. So here you have an example where an ADA holder submit for example, a treasury withdrawal action. And that treasury withdrawal has 37% yes, 60% no on the DRep side. And on the CC side, it's mostly no. There's no threshold. Should have need to modify that. But anyway, so here they voted no. And the SPO cannot vote on treasury withdrawal. So they have no say on that. What happens is that the governance action gets dropped after when it reaches its expiration. And the amount of money that the submitter, the person who proposed it, deposit on chain, the 100,000 ADA, goes back to his stake address because it was a deposit. So within that month, that person lost probably somewhere around 260 something ADA of reward because that money doesn't generate reward while it's there. But that money is also calculated, is still calculated within your voting power. That's an important distinction. So you deposit 100,000 ADA for that governance action, it is still calculated within your own personal wallet as voting power. So if you delegate it to a DRep, that DRep will still hold that 100,000 voting power to vote with. Does that make sense? I know it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second example we have here, we have a protocol parameter change governance action that has been submitted by an ADA holder. Anybody can do that. You don't have to be DRep, CC, or it's just a transaction. You do a transaction. I want to do a protocol parameter change. I want to change this protocol parameter value. Here's the 100,000 ADA deposit. You submit it. It's a transaction. It goes on chain. And nobody knows who submitted that governance action unless you publicly say it. Or if you mention it within your rationale. So you provide a rationale file. I want to do a protocol parameter change, and you say, I'm Mike Hornet. And I believe this is good for the blockchain because of this and this and that. And I make sure that I follow the rules of the Constitution, because there's some rules related to that. About socialization, about protocol parameter change. You need to specify within your rationale a specific recovery plan. What else? There's some socializations to do in there.
Rollback plan.
So if it passes, the CC will vote yes. And in this scenario, the DReps voted yes. 89% of the active voting stake on the DRep side voted yes on it. So it is ratified. It will be ratified. The outcome is this governance action is ratified. And the next epoch after ratification, the change occurs on chain without anybody else involvement. The ledger will make the change to that protocol parameter value. And it would just happen. So if you change, for example, the pool minimum fee that is right now set to 178, and you want to raise it to 500 because you believe the stake pools don't make enough money, and you want to raise that minimum value to enforce everybody else to have that value, you can. So you do it on chain, you change that value, and if the DReps vote for it and the CC votes for it, it happens. And all the stake pools now are kind of forced to have 500 ADA as their minimum pool value. But I haven't tested that yet. This is something you set on the pool certificate, and if that value raise and you have a lower value than the protocol parameter, is it still...
Do you need a new certificate? That is the
yeah, but
thing.
I wonder,
that is the thing.
Yeah, what would happen if I have a lower value? Would it still like calculate the actual protocol
Your
parameter?
certificate will not be valid.
You think so? So you would have to redo
Yeah.
your pool certificate?
Yep.
Otherwise your blocks wouldn't be valid? Or you wouldn't get any reward?
You will not get any reward because your certificate is not valid.
That would be interesting to test. Anyway.
See, now I kept Mike up all night for 3 weeks.
I'll have your answer in 3 days, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna be smart and shut the fuck up because I need to look at the GitHub and see how the certificate is authenticated on chain.
Yeah, I wanted to do something related to the deposit as well, and I
Yeah.
wanted to know if it was an acquired right, right? So if my deposit is 500 ADA, and I raise the value of that minimum deposit, because when you register as a stake pool, you need to do a deposit of 500 ADA, which you get back if you unregister your pool, right? But it's the blockchain has this money, not somebody somewhere. And if you raise that value, but your actual deposit was 500 and you raise it to 100 to 1000, for example, ADA, since I already exist with that money deposited, is that some form of acquired right? Or would I be forced to?
Yeah, sorry. So, by the way, sorry, Kathy. You know, when Mike and me sit at a bar, this is like a
Oh,
typical conversation,
sorry.
and it can go so for
I'm so sorry.
hours, many bottles. But yeah,
Yeah,
It's quite interesting
I mean,
to hear,
I get
though.
off track. I'm sorry.
No, it's
this
it's
is
quite
how
interesting to hear.
how to hack. Yeah,
Because,
how to hack a blockchain.
Yes. So
yeah, but these
basically,
are interesting questions because these are things that the constitutional work needs to address.
well, it's yeah, it's mostly related to the software itself. So you know, like we found many bugs, many bugs, and this is always the way we find them. We get those weird
Yeah.
scenarios like what if we do
What
this?
if?
Well, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So the test net that we used to have for testing governance, which is the central test net, now I own it. They on 14th of February this year on Valentine's Day, they gave me full control over that network, and we have like 7 or
What a
8
Valentine's
SPOs.
gift.
So they give me control over the faucet, and we use it mostly to break things, and you know, we try to find those weird scenarios where like what will happen? What will happen?
Yeah.
Can we break something by doing that? And I tend to get off track during my workshop when I explain something and all of a sudden I get an idea, a weird idea, like, oh my God, yeah, what if we change that? What if we do this? What's gonna happen? Right? I mean, like, and
It's always interesting to have those ideas and have those discussions because then
yes,
you have to try, well, is that going to
that's
work? Or are you going to break
yeah.
something? Because someone will always try to do those things anyway.
No, we did many times. We found
Yeah.
bugs that made the treasury withdrawal occurred every single epoch. So normally when you do a treasury withdrawal, it happens and your governance action gets removed. But before, like 2 years ago, that governance action was staying on chain until expiration. But every single epoch, it was redoing the same calculation over the same governance action. And after every epoch boundary, it was checking the governance action. Oh, it passed. Here's your money. Next epoch after, oh, it passed. Here's your money. Oh, it passed again.
Infinite money glitch, like
Yes.
ATM going haywire, and it was a very simple logic flaw to it that like some developer like I want to dig myself to the ground.
Well, some of them were trickier, and I had arguments because I've been accused of overthinking it, and that's kind of why I had to do the attack on Christmas Eve to prove my point, and then they saw the actual problem. I can explain it now because there's no more danger related to that. So the attack that I did is we had 5 governance actions on chain, and I wanted to spam the chain in order to increase the memory value of those governance actions, because the UTXO lives on memory. It doesn't live on storage. And as it is right now on mainnet, we need somewhere around 16, 18 gigs of RAM of usage, I think. I'm gonna have to check that. But so you need to have
24
24 to 32
after
gigs of RAM.
Christmas.
Yes, to have those UTXOs on memory. So my goal was to exhaust the available memory of every block producers on that testnet in order for them to stop producing blocks and to break the chain or to endanger the density of the chain. So what I did is that the only way for me to spam votes, invalid votes on those governance actions, was to create a fake constitutional committee. But I couldn't vote on governance actions unless my fake constitutional committee wasn't on chain. And the rules, the way it was made, it was allowing us to authorize constitutional committee credentials if we were either on the CC or if we were part of a governance actions in order to update the CC. And that's what I did. I've submitted a governance action trying to add 30 cold credentials for CC. And once this was there, I was allowed to authorize hot credentials to vote. And I spammed the chain with 30 credentials over and over again. So I was creating 30 hot credentials. I was authorizing them within the same transaction, and I was voting on the 5 governance actions with all those credentials. So that's 30 times 5 vote per transaction, and 8 transactions per block. So I had 8 or 10 instances spamming the chains with transactions that was only doing that. Authorizing fake credentials, submitting votes, replacing those credentials with new ones over and over and over and over again. So I could produce 1.5 million votes per day. And I broke the mitral aggregator within the first 24 hours, and after 48 hours the chain density plummeted down to 2%. And then Samuel reached out to me to say, stop it, we get it. And they had to wake some people up because I did it on Christmas Eve. I know it was a pretty awful time schedule for that, but we already had a plumbing out fork on chain on mainnet, and that vulnerability was introduced by it. So there was no way for me to do it on mainnet as it is right now, as it was, unless the plumbing out fork passed, and people were starting to vote yes on it. So I was very concerned, and I know there was like, I think like 2 weeks left. I don't know how much there was left, but I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. I have to
Prove my point.
prove my point
This
before
is
they are for it.
and by the way, so when it comes to like finding flaws in software, this is like it's a classic one. It's a very classic one. Like you might recognize it, like um, memory overflow, or
Yeah.
like you like in traditional hacking, you use this to gain privileges because something breaks, and that's what basically Mike did. He broke the logic and gets, let's say, allowed to do whatever he likes.
Yeah. It's more like an exploit of the system than an actual it's not a hack, or I use the system against itself to raise the UTXO size of all those governance actions that were on chain until it saturated the memory. So it was adding 1 point something gig per day of memory to all the block producers, and eventually they would cap the amount of available RAM memory that they had, and they wouldn't produce blocks anymore. And
you would crash the server. You would crash the server eventually. Like, and this was stack based overflow. That's the classic terminology. So and it's amazing that you can. So if it had been on mainnet, you would probably have crashed around 2,900 computers and servers around the world.
It would have. I didn't think it was going to be so efficient, because honestly, like on testnet, people use less resources, right? It's mostly like 8 gigs, and so it was very easy within the first 48 hours to break it. But on mainnet it would have taken more time, probably 5. I'm guessing 5 days or somewhere around a week. But my question to Sam then was, because since all those votes, they get wiped out because they're coming from invalid keys at the end of the epoch. So my question was, within the 5 days time frame, can I submit enough vote to affect the chain in a way that it would break it? Not break it, but distance the amount of time between each block, because that's what the chain density is. If you have blocks scheduled as an SPOs and you cannot produce it because your memory is saturated, then you just don't produce it, and you have a time lapse of 40 seconds instead of 20 between each block. So if that time lapse is getting longer and longer and longer, it affects the density of the chain and eventually could possibly break it.
It will go to a halt and the server will crash.
This
Anyway,
actually,
Getting off track again.
this brings me to a topic that I want to discuss with you further, but on another night because I'm starting to get tired. But that because we are talking about so much and powerful technology, and we are using quite a lot of technology to sustain the blockchain. And how are we? How is Cardano thinking about the sustainability of using blockchain technology, and how aware are Cardano about using blockchain, and how do we do it as a sustainable way as possible? But that is a topic for another night. But it is something that I'm thinking about, and something that in my job I have to consider a lot because I work with technology and being Norwegian and thinking about how we can do things as sustainable as possible. Using technology in that way is important. So that is, since Cardano is a worldwide organization, people do this and think about this differently.
Right.
And we are using resources, different parts of the world are using technology and resources in different ways. So how do we do this in a most, and what kind of values does Cardano have on this topic? But again, it's a topic for another night.
I'm gonna be very quick, Kat, in the same. So a Cardano node can, if you put it on a Raspberry Pi, it will use less energy than a mobile charger. If you put it on a server, you have something similar to a little bit less than a dishwasher. Yeah. So if you compare Cardano with, let's say, other blockchain like Bitcoin that have been, haunted because they use a lot of electricity and resources, and a lot of that comes from, let's say, coal mines, and they pollute a lot when they produce this electricity. But those days are over because and that goes for the whole industry. Yes, they use a lot of electricity, but and if you're gonna put it on my Bitcoin hat, I would say like 90% of all miners around the world now, they run on renewable energy, hydrostatic energy, solar, wind, and those and atomic. But that's a different. That's a long story, Kathy. We have to do that.
A long story.
That's outside
of discussion, because I want to go into different things about this, because I know what the technology can do, but what are we doing? Because one thing is what it can do. We can put it on Raspberry Pis. We can do all of these things, but what are we doing, and what are Cardano's values about these things? That is the things that I'm curious about. But it's a big discussion, and let's not take the whole of that tonight.
I got something up, like about the in my opinion, the biggest value of Cardano is the fact that it's built using the UTXO model. So there is absolutely no way for you. There's a no. Well, you do know
What model?
the outcome of your transaction before it occurs. This is not like the accounting model. So for example, I can build all my transaction, and the transactions that's gonna come after this one, I can build them all off-chain. You can chain every single transactions if you want to from your off-chain environment, not even connected on the internet, and submit them at any time on the blockchain. This is one of the most secure way. Cardano is one of the most, if not the most secure blockchain I've ever had to deal with in my entire life, because of that model, but also because of the way that its governance is made, and also going back to the principles of the distributed ledger, which is everything that you put on it is there forever. This has crazy good values. because every single
Yeah.
piece of information you put on that blockchain is going to be there forever. And also everybody that interacts with it related to governance is completely decentralized because it's a database that everybody has. And
Yeah,
personally,
and if you,
like,
sorry.
personally, I do not have any hot wallets. Not because I don't believe in it. It's just because I like the codes and boring stuff that most people don't like. But I build every single one of my transactions offline. Best example like I give you, I'm a stateful operator. And I didn't have, the first day, 3 years ago, I took a UTXO from one wallet. So I did a query online, how much money I got in my wallet. I took that information, I brought it offline. And since then, I'm building all my transactions from my cold environment without interacting in any form with an online computer. I build my transactions offline from that UTXO. I already know the outcome, which is the output UTXO. Okay, so I build my transaction. I share it with a QR code that my cold environment provide. I get it, unsensitive information because it's a signed transaction. It's only a witness. I submit it on chain. And then the next time, the input of my next transaction, I already have it offline because I generated from my last transaction. So I use this new output that becomes the input of my next transaction, and I build my next transaction. And then same thing, I build everything offline. Nothing gets out of it except the final transaction that only holds the witness of the keys that lives off chain. There's no better way of doing this. No better way. There's no physical way that I can bring a virus, a malware, or anything to my cold environment because I don't carry anything to it. Everything's already there. For the past 3 years, every single information that I need to do transactions are in there. I just output them to the hot environment, an environment connected to internet.
And to make it and to make it even more confusing and even more secure, I can take that witness and I can broadcast this on behalf of
yes.
Mike's behalf.
You can freely share it to anyone. I can give it to Ken. Ken, do you have a running node? Do you have a node you can use to
put it on
it?
Yeah.
I give it to him. If he changes,
you can put it on internet and you can say, yeah. Can someone just run this transaction for me?
Yeah, literally, I can.
And it's safe. It's safe. They cannot steal your money. They cannot change it, or no way. So you can put that out there, and anyone can take that witness and put it into a wallet and press send.
Yes.
And
that person cannot change anything from that transaction. So let's say the value, like, okay, it's Mike sending money to himself. Now send the money to me. If you change something in that transaction, the signature that I did is not valid anymore because I signed this information. So if you change it, it just won't work.
Yeah, but that's a little bit way too geeky, Kathy. But we are like way on deep fundamental blockchain security and user security. That is appropriate for your level.
You don't have that on Ethereum.
I'm starting to get a bit boiled in my head. So
the bottom
bit
word.
tired.
I'm sorry. The bottom word of this is that you don't get that on other blockchains. On Ethereum, you can submit something and it's gonna change halfway through, and then you'll end up with a different outcome that you cannot expect in the beginning, especially if it's smart contract related. But on Cardano, even smart contract, you always know the finality of your transaction before you submit it. And this is very, very secure. That's what I love about it. That's why I'm still here. And yeah, so comparing Cardano to others. Should we?
By the way, Kat, do you have any questions?
I was rude enough
going for 2 hours
for my questions on the go. So my questions are answered for now. But of course,
I have many more. I'm sorry, I have many more infographics related to that. So I showed you one. I got, this one too, which is about the governance protocol parameter, or how our governance works. But I'm not going to explain that today. It's going to be for another time. I promise.
What is your next day, by the way, Mike? And what is the
Thursday.
topic?
This schedule here, I have it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I usually talk about what people want me to talk about. So, for example, now we had Kathy. Oh, sorry, doesn't. Oh, Abel. Made a typo. We have Kathy here who needed to know about governance, but sometimes we get people who are more geeky, so I show them the code, and we do stuff with them on the SanchoNet. So it highly depends on who's present during the presentation. So yeah, if you go back to like this website here, it's a great stake pool, just saying. You can go into the documentation or Voltaire, and this is where all my infographics are.
Put the link in the chat.
Yeah, put the link in the chat.
It's ablepool.io. I don't chill my pool very often, I know. And I don't chill it in my infographics because I want people to freely share them. And if my stake pool is stated in there, some SPOs won't share it. So I want to make sure like it's widely shared. But you got a lot of infographics. You have the governance 3 here. It shows you every single commands that you can do as a DRep, but it's all terminal stuff. Probably not good for.
I will show you one day, Kathy. You will need to. We're gonna do the terminal one day, but not this week and not this month. But
No,
you can wish for it for Christmas.
step by step, one
Step by step.
one step at a time. Now we talked about the governance actions, the 3 governance bodies, how it works on chain, give or take, and we can go deeper after each sessions. That's how I do things.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll see some codes. Maybe.
This has been very helpful to see the picture of it, to see the visual explanation of how it's built and how it's done. So it's been very helpful to understand. Yeah, absolutely. This Thursday I won't be able to make it, unfortunately, because I'll be away. But next week I'll definitely be here.
Yes, if you want to, you can look at the event tab on this let me just on this Discord server. So you scroll up, you will see 2 events. So these
Yeah.
are weekly events. There's the US time zone and the EU time zone. So it's every Tuesdays and I didn't put the Thursday there. It's every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I should change that. Yeah, definitely going to change that. But these are the events that I do.
Yeah. Great.
Anyway, thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has been very helpful.